Hello, and welcome to the SHARE Approach, Essential Elements of Shared Decision-Making workshop course presented by the Agency for Healthcare Research and Quality. Hi, my name is Laura Shearer, and I'm an associate professor at the University of Colorado School of Medicine. Today, I'm going to be guiding you through Module 2, Decision Aids, what they are, and how to implement them. The purpose of this module is to introduce practical strategies that you can consider as part of incorporating decision aids at your organization. At the end of this activity, you'll be able to identify what a decision aid is and the benefits of using one, and distinguish decision aids from patient education material. You'll also learn where to find decision aids and identify how to use different kinds of decision aids. What are patient decision aids? Decision aids are tools, for example, booklets, videos, or web pages that are designed to help patients participate in making decisions about their health care. Decision aids provide evidence-based information about options, and they also help patients clarify their values relevant to the different options. Decision aids also help patients communicate those values to their clinician. Importantly, decision aids are not designed to be persuasive or advise people to choose a particular option, and they are also not designed to replace counseling from a healthcare practitioner. There are also international standards for patient decision aids called the IPDAS criteria. IPDAS is a collaboration of researchers, practitioners, and stakeholders from around the world that was established in 2003. They used a two-stage evidence-informed Delphi consensus process to establish criteria to determine the quality of patient decision aids. And the result of that process was an extensive decision aid quality checklist, including criteria for decision aid content, development process, and also effectiveness. You can visit the IPDAS webpage for more resources at the website listed on this slide. Experts have identified 6 minimum criteria for patient decision aids. The materials must describe the health condition or problem. They must state that there is a decision under consideration and describe the options that are available. Decision aids describe both the positive and negative features of each of those options. And finally, a decision aid describes the features of each option to help the patient imagine and understand the physical, social, and psychological effects of each option. Patient decision aids must contain at least these 6 attributes. By contrast, standard materials that are meant to educate patients typically seek to describe the health condition or problem. They may do some of the additional things listed here, but not necessarily. They usually do not focus on a particular decision or explicitly state that there's a decision to be made. Also, because patient education materials usually don't focus on a decision, they consequently don't usually describe features of options in the detailed way that decision aids do. Altogether, this makes patient decision aids quite different from standard patient education materials. There are a variety of benefits of using decision aids. A study of 105 trials of decision aids showed that they improve patient knowledge, communication between patients and doctors, patients' involvement in their care, their satisfaction with their care, and concordance between patients' values and the treatment they receive. Decision aids also lowered decisional conflict and indecision and also lowered patients' regret. At this point, you might be wondering, where can I find patient decision aids? On this slide, we're showing you a few different collections of patient decision aids from different groups. There are many sources for decision aids, and many decision aids that you might find helpful in your practice. There's a group activity associated with this presentation called Exploring Decision Aids. In this activity, your practice will identify 2 or 3 decision aids that are relevant to your patient population and discuss them as a group. This would be a great time to pause this video and explore a few of these links. Hopefully you took some time to explore a few different decision aids. Now we're going to address a few common misconceptions about decision aids. The first misconception we want to address is that decision aids replace conversations with you. A decision aid is meant to inform your patients and foster more meaningful discussion. However, patients still need you to consult with them and help them make a decision. The hope is that a decision aid will help you explain the options. With a decision aid, you can spend less time explaining and more time answering questions and helping your patients think through how their values and goals align with different treatment options. The second misconception about decision aids is that they're long and time-consuming. Decision aids do not need to be long. Decision aids that are designed to be used with your patient in the clinic are usually not long at all. Decision aids that are designed to be given to patients before the clinical encounter are usually longer, but these decision aids can help prepare the patient to have a more meaningful discussion with you. A third misconception is that decision aids are meant to persuade patients to accept a particular treatment plan. Decision aids are not meant to encourage or discourage a treatment or a procedure. They're meant to provide balanced information about treatment options and encourage patients to make a choice that's consistent with their preferences. Your job as a clinician is to make sure that your patient understands the information, to answer their questions, and help them explore how the options fit with those preferences. A final misconception about decision aids is that you need a decision aid in order to do shared decision-making. In fact, you don't need to use a decision aid to do shared decision-making. Instead, what you need is yourself, a patient, and communication using the 5 share elements. In summary, decision aids are meant to help communicate key information about treatment options to patients. Decision aids can improve discussions between you and your patient and hopefully make your job easier, not harder. Next, we're going to discuss implementation of decision aids. Another key consideration is when the decision aid will be delivered and discussed. The timing is important, and it depends in part on the decision aid's design. Some decision aids are designed to be delivered before the clinic visit so the patient has time to read and digest the information. The clinic visit is then used for follow-up questions and discussion. Other decision aids are designed to be used during the clinic visit. These are sometimes called encounter aids. These decision aids can be quite different in their design from a decision aid meant to be used by the patient before a clinic visit. The emphasis in an encounter aid may be more on aiding patients and clinicians to talk through how to respond to a problem. The information provided may be less detailed than in a tool designed for the patients to take home and read on their own. Finally, some decision aids can be given to the patient after the clinic visit and used as part of the after-visit summary. However, if you use this last approach, make sure to follow up with your patient to answer any questions the decision aid generates. Another important consideration is how the decision aid will be delivered to patients. In some practices, decision aids can be delivered electronically within the electronic health record, patient portal, or by email. Delivering the decision aid in person, for example, during a clinic visit, can also work well. The delivery method might depend on the format of the decision aid, especially whether it's designed to be used by the patient before the clinical encounter or used during the encounter. The method of delivery is also determined by the media format. So, for example, whether it's a printed booklet, online information, videos, or even multiple formats. The decision aid could be delivered by the provider or by another staff member who is empowered to provide the decision aid on behalf of the provider. It's also important that all the staff know their role so that the decision aid is delivered consistently. Altogether, the takeaway point here is that it's important when selecting a decision aid to be thoughtful about how the decision aid is designed and whether that design is compatible with how you want to use it and how you might feasibly deliver it to patients. Having a plan for delivery that fits the tool is key. Next, we want to give you an example of how a decision aid was implemented in practice. This is just one model you could consider using, although it might not directly apply to your particular practice setting. Keep in mind that there are lots of ways in which decision aids can be implemented, and this is just one example. At Dartmouth-Hitchcock Medical Center, patients newly diagnosed with breast cancer were contacted by staff who provided patients with information to help them choose a course of treatment based on their preferences and concerns. Patients received a free video, a booklet, and a questionnaire to help them prepare for their initial surgeon visit. This is an example of decision aid materials being delivered before a clinic visit. This concludes Module 2. In summary, decision aids are balanced summaries of evidence-based information. They have numerous benefits such as improved patient knowledge and reduced regret. They foster better conversations but do not replace your expertise. And successful implementation of decision aids requires consideration of who will deliver it, how, and when. Thanks for watching this video. We hope you found it informative and that it inspires you to explore the possibility of using decision aids in your practice.